I guess last week during the bye week and talking to some of the players so far, they feel like they'd be really surprised if he didn't just come out and have a monster game on Saturday.
Yeah, he's like the majority of the guys on this team. He's very self-competitive. We won the game, but there's a standard in how these guys want to play. They have an expectation going into a game, and certainly there was a couple decisions in there that you go back and once you have the clicker in your hand, you can second guess and say this and that and learn from it, and he gets that. That's the one thing is, Brett's never going to defend, a bad decision. And he'd be the first one to go out there and say, I need to do this or do that. That's what you like about guys like Brett is they self-correct. But for him, he's a work in progress. He's still a young player. He didn't have a redshirt year. He didn't have that year to sit back and watch everything develop and just learn over and over and over, like a Kellen did or Zabransky did or Taylor did or Dinwiddie did. Those guys, he's one of the, 20-some years, true freshman to go out there and play. I think we forget that 1 year of sitting there and just listening to a coach a guy the entire season, it makes a big difference. And so there's some things in there that he's still working on. And you know what? It's awesome. It's awesome that we have a chance to work with him on that. It's awesome that he's in the position he's in. But we're all learning. He's certainly learning. And I hope that he applies that, which he's shown to do. After he's made a mistake, he comes back and he's usually pretty strong.
Somewhat along those lines, you now have a week or better to kind of go back and look at the films and evaluate it. I was curious as the fourth quarter clock management, game management, decisions, play calling, Brett's decisions at the line of scrimmage. What did you kind of learn from that you can apply going forward?
Not much. I didn't go back and look at all that. It's 2 games. To go back and study all that, our play calling's fine. You go back and look at it. We need to execute. Yeah, there could be better play calls and all that. Certainly have called plays that have been well executed. It probably wasn't the timely place to actually call it. So it's play calling is a rhythm. It's about getting into a rhythm. It's about guys working and operating together. Clock management. I don't think we've had any really clock management issues and all that. Certainly have watched other teams with some clock management and learned from it. We just haven't been necessarily in that situation where it's been something that we've botched. And I haven't really think we've experienced that here in a long, long time. But overall, just I think for us, not watching and going back on everything, but knowing that fundamentally there's areas to improve on, knowing conceptually there's areas to improve on, knowing coaching and how we're teaching, there's a lot of areas to improve on. Those are things we put back and be focused because we had time to talk about it. We just rebalance is what we talked about with the team, just rebalancing and making sure that we're investing in the right areas that we talked about in the season or in the fall camp, how we lead it to the season.
I know some of those guys moving into coordinator spots, go up in the box and they were on the field, but they have proxies down there, and your Tommy Smiths and your Nate Potters. How does that change the dynamic out there on the sideline, whether it's more energy or does it change much for you guys down there?
Yeah, probably too early to tell. Sometimes on the sideline you want to feel more energy, but you got to be careful too. Are you just doing that to be a cheerleader, or are they focused? And I think this group has been very focused. They seem to get up when they need to and pay attention. They seem to support when they need to and pay attention. I think these guys like each other. I think this team likes each other. I think whether you're offense or a defensive guy or a special teams only guy, you're out there, you're supporting your team. I think those coaches on the sideline do a really good job. And just a different football team. They stay back when they're supposed to stay back. They get up when they're supposed to get up. There really hasn't been a whole lot of sideline management issues that way, and the guys on the sideline signaling and doing what they need to be doing have done a good job. Personnel called out has been good, and I don't know if I'd say that previous years, a little bit more management on the sideline, but these guys seem pretty focused. That all started too prior to when we played. This is how it needs to look, and we spent time on that. Like, this is how you operate on the sideline, so you're not a distraction. And we still got our young guys. They wave their towels. I think they do a good job of that. So we'll continue with that.
Might be a media thing, but through spring ball and fall camp, we always talk about developing the second wave of wide receiver.
Yeah.
The big three has all but one catch so far. How do you look at that?
Yeah, well, those guys need to go out there when they get the chance. We certainly need them. That second wave of wide receiver group, they probably need more opportunities. Again, 2 games, one we got rolling pretty good. The second game, I think we had 6 plays in a quarter. So it's hard to go back and just say we're in a rhythm right now. I wouldn't say that. And I don't think the second wave of wide receivers have gotten many opportunities. So I wouldn't say they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but those guys, we need them. And we certainly want to, as the season goes on, because we do have, Sean Monster has developed and been a very good player. Killian Butler, we talked about him, just the opportunity that he's had and hasn't had in the game. A.J. Richardson, those guys, they've all done a very good job in practice. Austin Cottrell, so I mean, it's not anything they've done, it's just a matter of we've got to have an opportunity to kind of get out there and drive a little bit and get the other guys out, get those guys in, not change the play call and just let them go out there and operate. And so they'll show up because we're going to be back into those 80, 85 play a game 4 quarters that we've had before, and those guys will show up and have to go make plays. But I've been happy with that group. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. It's just a matter of us getting them in there and getting that rhythm so they can.
No, just 2 games into the season, so a bit of a small sample size, but do you already notice a difference in Jeremy's physicality running the football compared to last season?
Yeah, well, he was physically improved coming into fall camp. I just think he's eating right, he's sleeping right, he's getting the right fluids. He takes care of his body, and he is treating himself, all right, like a very good running back should. And that's one of the big differences. I think that just takes time. Again, we put him in there and he played, and you just got to kind of figure that stuff out a little bit. He's done a really good job of it. Certainly his physicality, and I think that's a credit to him and just being stronger. I also think that's Alexander Madison being a more physical runner. I think that's Devin Demas running more physical. I think Ryan Wolpen. That group, and Coach Marks has done a good job. That group is just mentally different than what they were. They're focused. I think they're tough. I think they're hard-nosed, and I think it shows up when you go out there and play. And I've been really excited about where McNichols is at, and those other guys playing too. Alexander Madison, when he played, ran physical. Devin Demas ran physical. Fully expect that again this week.
Jay, last one. I was going to ask you, going back, when I swing by, I talked with Grant Hedrick this week, and just your thoughts on what he's been able to do in his post-collegiate career, and obviously the responsibility he's accepted after playing at Boise State.
Yeah, Grant, we'll get a chance to see him. Grant's one of my favorite guys. The thing about Grant, when we recruited him here, I remember there was a few other guys we were looking at, and we took him, and he was, not the tallest guy, but he could run, but he threw the ball really well. That was one thing. Sometimes the shorter guys, you're like, all right, they got to be able to run fast and all that, but he could spin it. And he got here, and I was with him for a year, and we said left, he'd go right, trying to figure it all out. And he was fun to be around. It was kind of funny in the first year, and then I left. I see him playing, then we come back and he's here, and he ends up being our starter. And the one thing I learned about him, one, he could still spin it, he could run, he made plays. That guy was tough as nails, and you could rely on him. You could totally count on him no matter what it was. You could count on him, he'd get it done. He made mistakes, certainly playing football, but never off the field stuff. And him being an officer now, his dad's a coach, so I kind of wondered. I was kind of hoping that he'd go into coaching, and was kind of trying to entice him to maybe stay with us a little bit. And this is what he wanted to do. And so, being a police officer, that just kind of doesn't surprise me with his mentality. He's a protect and serve type guy. That's what he is. He cares about people. He's not afraid. He'll go out there and do what he has to do. And so we're proud of him. That guy is special to us. Looking forward to seeing him, and certainly a guy that we talk about with our other quarterbacks. We talk about with our players.